Okay. Good morning, everyone. How are we going? A day and a half in, 2.5 days in for some of us. I think we're hanging in there, almost to lunch. So good work, everyone. I'm Lance Gore. I'm a water resources specialist normally. I also have another hat on at the moment. I'm acting director for the Southeast Asia Pacific agriculture team. And I have the pleasure of being moderator for the session. And apologies for arriving late to that. So let's crack on. First of all, I'd like to hand over to our country director, Takafumi Kadano, who's joining us online. And thank you very much, sir, for that. Over to you. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. Sorry for not being there. I hope you can hear me, Lance.
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, great. Okay, sorry for not being there. And I'm actually not in Papua New Guinea either. I'm in Fiji at the moment. But good morning to everyone, colleagues, partners, and distinguished guests, both in the room and online. Your presence today really demonstrates your commitment to advancing food security and food system transformation in Papua New Guinea. And I see that today's session is a important milestone, and it represents not just another technical discussion, but a clear signal that coordinated investments across multilateral development banks, governments, and the private sector is critically important and essential for addressing the structural challenges facing PNG's agriculture sector today. PNG's agri-food system is rich with potential, as you all know, but yet constrained by the same issues that many fragile and remote economies face. These are weak logistic networks, high post-harvest losses, limited SPS policies, and fragmented markets. They continue to undermine the full value of what farmers can produce and sell. And these challenges are bigger than what any one institution can address. No single project or no single development partner can deliver the system-wide transformation that Papua New Guinea needs urgently. So the new fresh food marketing system project, which will be discussed later, is being prepared by ADB, builds on the transport infrastructure financed or being financed by ADB and the World Bank in Papua New Guinea in the recent years. And here we are not assuming that building roads alone will enable access to markets. We are being deliberate in making roads, markets, and logistics facilities to work together in an integrated fashion to benefit farmers, businesses, and consumers. So ADB's Fresh Foods Marketing System project intends to create the physical backbone for fresh produce. These are the modern markets, aggregation points, cold chain facilities, and upgraded logistics in the main productive area of Papua New Guinea. In parallel and in conjunction to this, the World Bank's AgriConnect initiatives, which you will also hear about, brings the backbone for commodities marketing at a national level. So when these two pillars and interventions come together, we move from isolated and ad hoc improvements to integrated agricultural supply chain, where infrastructure, policies, and digital services reinforce one another. This is the power of multilateral complementarity. Two institutions with different strengths working in a coordinated and sequenced manner, delivering far more than the sum of our individual efforts. But of course, MDB collaboration alone is not enough. The long-term success of agriculture logistics in PNG depends on bringing the private sector fully into the picture. This is why in our current ADB program, we are not building markets and logistics facilities alone. We are also supporting PPP models for their operation and creating on-lending facilities for SMEs and MSMEs so local agribusinesses can invest, grow, and take advantage of the new infrastructure. An FAO study that examined 70 agricultural PPPs globally identified three main positive impacts of this PPP approach. One is, of course, that the public sector partners achieved their socioeconomic objectives. Number two, private companies also benefited through increased sales and market share. And number three, and perhaps most importantly, smallholder farmers experienced higher net incomes. So in this context, ADB's work in the Pacific across shipping, processing, market management, cold chain operations, it recognizes that sovereign investment is critical enablers that enables the private sector to build and operate supply chains efficiently and effectively. And for PNG in particular, this means integrating private logistics provider from the start, creating incentives for SMEs and larger agribusinesses to invest in post-harvest solutions, encouraging management models that combine public infrastructure with private operation, and ensuring interoperability between digital systems and private sector chains. So what we are building here today with the government of PNG, and I welcome the representative from the government in the room, in collaboration with the World Bank and with our technical partners, has significance far beyond the country. And PNG is becoming a demonstration case for how to integrate farmers, logistic infrastructure, digital systems, food safety, and climate resilience into a coherent national approach. If we can get this right in a complex landscape like PNG, it can become a blueprint for Pacific-wide collaboration. So let me close by expressing my appreciation to all our partners joining this discussion today. The challenge in PNG's agriculture sectors are real, but so is the momentum that we have created. And with coordinated MDB investments and strong private sector participation, we can unlock a more resilient, competitive, and inclusive food system for the people of Papua New Guinea. Thank you. Thank you, Turutumas.
Thank you, Taka-san. Very wise words, and I think that PNG could be a model for how we operate in many countries. So we look forward to this. Next, I'd like to invite Paavo Eliste, Practice Manager from the World Bank, who is joining us online. No, he's here. Please come.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, Lance.
I hope I pronounced your name.
It's okay. Good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure to be with you today, this morning, for this session. On behalf of the World Bank Group, actually, I would welcome all of you to this important session and conversation here in this forum, which is all about how to translate our shared ambition for food systems transformation into coordinated, practical, grounded actions in one of the most complex Pacific countries and one of the most complex development contexts in East Asia and Pacific region where I'm working for. So PNG is, as we all know, PNG is the country of extraordinary agricultural potential. It has everything in terms of agroecological systems, the value chains, the commodities it can produce, biodiversity, which is important part of agro-food systems, significant number of smallholders who engage in these value chains. Many of them are important part of the export, increasing exports, kind of balancing the country away from extractive industries. And the country has a really solid, in my opinion, very solid strategic vision of where it wants to go in terms of its national agriculture sector plan. Ambitious targets, what we want to see, 500,000 jobs to be created in the target value chains, cocoa, coffee, whatever, livestock. 500,000 is a huge number for the country. And if we could achieve that, that will make a huge difference. 50,000 SMEs to be lifted up and advanced. 30 billion Kina contribution to the exports through these value chains. Again, and this is all going to be supposed to happen over next decade by 2034. But potential is not enough, as we all know. We've seen it before in many places. Countries have a huge potentials what they have not been able to materialize. And PNG in some ways follows the same pattern. We see the challenges related to productivity gaps, incomes are a major problem. I mean, low farm incomes is a major problem. Jobs or unfulfilled potential for jobs, particularly for the youth, and all of the problems which come with that. And then moving on issues which are highly relevant to what we do with ADB and the bank group, the infrastructure, weak logistics, high post-harvest losses, sort of enabling environment issues related to land and law and order. So all of these things, structural, many of them, which would need to be tackled. And in some ways, the initiative, what I will be talking later, AgriConnect, and which is something what we are looking very much forward to collaborate increasingly with ADB, is a perfect approach. It's not an instrument, but it is approach for the country of the size and the nature of PNG, which has ambition, but which also has a full myriad of the challenges what needs to be addressed. So the ADB's fresh food marketing system project, which we are going to be discussing today, as well as ours, AgriConnect initiative, are important building blocks in this journey, which we have embraced together with the government now. The focus is on physical infrastructure, markets, strengthening farmer organizations, of course, enhanced supply chain development, access to the markets, financial ecosystem, policy reforms, regulatory more. I mean, PNG does not have major policy distortions, but it does have regulatory level challenges. So again, the full myriad of issues, but this is a good problem to have if we have a vision how to go about this. And I'm very, very comfortable as a manager for in charge of our program in East Asia and Pacific. In fact, for me, PNG is exciting opportunity for us to work, but it takes more than just investments. Not a single donor can do it alone. Not a single country can do it all alone within this very limited and challenging time frame. So we need to come together. ADB and bank will be working on this together, as well as Asian Infrastructure Bank, as well as IFAD, and we are welcome to have other partners on the knowledge side and on the investment side. IFC is looking, our sister organization, looking seriously in investing into agribusinesses, and so we'll talk about that during the session. I'm probably getting ahead of this, but this is it. I mean, this is what the session is all about. I mean, it is about discussing among ourselves not only what we are planning to do, but talking about the practical solutions, what we can think of, how to make it all work. So let me stop here and let's go. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Pavel. Okay, let's to kick things off, I'd like to invite Mr. Brown Kanabe, Director, Food Security Branch, Department of Agriculture and Livestock, Papua New Guinea, who will give the keynote speech, Papua New Guinea's vision for the agriculture sector. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. Good morning, everybody. I think the speakers, preceding me has provided a view, a glimpse of what PNG is all about. So I don't want to repeat what I said. But let me just reiterate that that we, as the World Bank speaker mentioned, we we have been given challenge by our government. We have the medium-term development plan 4 and the national agriculture sector plan. And our strategic objectives, as you mentioned, we are challenged to contribute to 1 million jobs and a 200 billion economy by 2030. And the agriculture sector has to contribute 30 billion of the 200 billion economy. And also besides that, we've been challenged also to contribute to around 500,000 SMEs and 1 million jobs. And that, according to the government, will come from the agriculture sector. Agriculture will contribute most of that, 1 million jobs and SMEs and like that. So it's a big challenge for us. And we look forward to investment. Any investment is welcome because that will help us, contribute to those targets. So I think this meeting is very, very timely for us, and I would like to thank ADB for organizing this meeting because, as I mentioned, we are really, really desperate for investments for us to contribute to those targets. And I think thank you for ADB for organizing this meeting. And I think later, you will hear from ADB and World Bank because the ADB projects in the pipeline. Hopefully, it will be implemented next year. And the World Bank, I think the AgriConnect, they're ready to implement. So we are not starting from scratch. We have the frameworks in place already. The World Bank, PACD 1, PACD 2, which they changed the name to AgriConnect. We have the IFED Market Village project, and then we have the FAO EU Strat project. These are more or less similar frameworks. But as you can see, I think the main issue with us is coordination. We need to coordinate this investment properly so that we can achieve those impacts. So I'll get straight to the keynote address. This keynote address was supposed to be presented by our secretary, the head of department, but he cannot come here because there's some urgent commitments back home, so he decided to stay back. So I will present this keynote address on behalf of him. Yeah. Good morning, distinguished colleagues, partners, and friends. It is a pleasure to join you today to discuss the transformation of agricultural supply chains in Papua New Guinea and the opportunities for coordinated investment across the sector. Agriculture remains central to the livelihoods in Papua New Guinea. More than 80% of our population lives in rural areas, and agriculture continues to play a vital role in food security, employment, and economic development. Yet connecting farmers to markets remains one of our persistent challenges. PNG geography is complex. Communities are widely dispersed, transport infrastructure is uneven, and logistic costs are high. In many areas, farmers face difficulties moving products from farms to markets in a timely and efficient way. As a result, post-harvest losses remain significantly in many value chains, and producers often receive lower returns for their efforts. These challenges are not unique to PNG. Many countries across the Pacific face similar constraints related to geography, scale, and infrastructure. However, they highlight an important point. Transforming agriculture is not simply about increasing production. It's about strengthening the entire supply chain system, from production and aggregation through to transport, market systems, and ultimately to consumers. In PNG, fresh produce market represent the largest share of agricultural activity and are critical to both food security and rural livelihoods. At the same time, export commodities such as coffee, cocoa, and palm oil remain important drivers of foreign exchange and income for rural communities. Strengthening agricultural supply chain is therefore essential for domestic food system and export agriculture. Over the past several years, PNG has increasingly focused on a more coordinated approach to agricultural development. This approach recognized that improving agricultural performance requires investment across several interconnected areas. First, strengthening infrastructure and logistics systems that enable farmers to move their products efficiently from farms to markets. Second, improving market facilities and value chain development, which can reduce post-harvest losses, improve product quality, and strengthen linkages between producers, traders, and buyers. Third, strengthening information and digital systems that support better planning, coordination, and investment decisions across the sector. These elements are closely interconnected. Infrastructure investments are most effective when they support functioning value chains. Market development works best when supported by reliable logistics networks, and stronger information systems help governments and investors understand where investment will have the greatest impact. For this reason, collaboration and coordination across sectors has become increasingly important. Agricultural outcomes depend not only on farming systems, but also on transport, infrastructure, energy, finance, trade, and market development. PNG is therefore seeing increasing collaboration and partnership across government departments, sector agencies, and private sector actors to take a more holistic and practical approach to strengthening agricultural supply chains. We have also learned from past experience that achieving a meaningful result requires strong collaboration, a whole-of-a-nation approach that brings together government, the private sector, and development partners. By working more closely together across sectors and institutions, we can improve the effectiveness of investment, strengthen market linkages, and ultimately deliver better outcomes and return for all chain partners, from grassroots producers to international buyers. Development partners also play an important role in this effort. Programs supported by partners, including the Asian Development Bank Fresh Food Marketing System Initiative and the World Bank AgriConnect program, provide important opportunities to strengthen different parts of PNG food system. These initiatives address complementary elements of the agricultural system, including market infrastructure, supply chain connectivity, and digital information systems. When these efforts are aligned and coordinated, they can contribute to a broader transformation of agricultural supply chains. Within the Department of Agriculture and Livestock, we are working to strengthen coordination across government institutions, development partners, and private sector to support this transformation. We are focusing on improving planning process and information systems that help us better understand agricultural supply chains, identify priority investment areas, and strengthen collaboration across the sector. The objective is to move beyond fragmented and isolated projects towards coordinated investment across the food system. This includes strengthening connection between production systems, logistics networks, market facilities, and information systems that support better decision-making. At the center of this transformation are the farmers. Smallholder farmers produce the majority of PNG of Papua New Guinea. Strengthening supply chains must therefore translate into practical improvements for rural communities, including better access to markets, reduced losses along the supply chains, and stronger returns to producers. Functioning economies established within the rural areas where the majority of the population reside, rather than highly concentrated in major urban or peri-urban locations. When agricultural supply chains function effectively, farmers benefit from improved incomes, consumers benefit from greater availability of food, and the national economy benefits from stronger agricultural growth. PNG has significant agricultural potential. With coordinated investment, improved infrastructure, stronger market system, and effective partnership, we can unlock the potential while strengthening food security and resilience to climate change. We look forward to continuing to work with Asian Development Bank, the World Bank, development partners, and the private sector to support this shared objective. Together, we can build a stronger agricultural supply chains and more resilient food system for Papua New Guinea and the wider Pacific region. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So next we will talk about the logistics and marketing project in Papua New Guinea. And I think there's a team of people who will speak. So here I have in front of me again, Pavo, for AgriConnect System Architecture and PNG Commodities Market Commercialization. I'll hand it to you. For this next session, I believe we've got 30 minutes. So, and that's to be shared between about 6 people.
5 minutes.
Good maths. Thank you.
So this slide pretty much draws on what I was telling in my opening remarks. Basically, what it tries to explain is why PNG, a country of huge potential in agriculture, would need integrated solutions, wide-spanning integrated solutions in turning its potential into genuine opportunities. And so I'm not going to go through all of the challenges, what you can read from the slide yourself, but I'm going to tell you one thing, which is that despite the fact that PNG spends about 0.25% of its GDP on agriculture. It's one of the lowest spending countries in the region. It has had in average about 1.7, 1.8% growth in ag GDP over the last decade. Now, you may not think 1.7 or 1.8 annual growth rate is anything to brag of. Well, it is if you don't spend anything on the sector, yeah, and you still get positive growth. Now, think about Philippines, which spends about $2 billion a year on its sector and has about half of the growth rate what PNG has. So that tells you something. I mean, I don't know what you read out of this. What I get out of this is that the country which spends almost no money on the sector and still gets 1.7, 1.8 annual percentage growth rate could certainly significantly increase this growth rate with more and better spending. And so this is one of the things what the AgriConnect initiative is all about. It's not about only bringing in more money to the client countries. Not at all. It's about really helping to think through on how we can use the investments, both from public and private sector, to maximize our results and impact. And so what I'm going to explain here quickly is the basic architecture of AgriConnect and the goals. So moving 300 million farmers up in value chains, 200 of which would come from the World Bank Group, another 100 from our partners who have currently formally signed up under AgriConnect initiative, and there are others who are partnering with us in parallel. So not everybody has to be part of the AgriConnect. 3 strategic pillars, which if you look at it, makes sense to you because this is what we have been doing very much in the past. And then 6 scalable interventions, which countries can focus based on their priorities. In case of PNG, this is the country which clicks all of the boxes. So whatever strategic pillar we would look at or whatever scalable intervention, it has it, yeah. And we've done it in the past. We've done it in a small scale. You know, you mentioned PACD. PACD was actually a very small project for a country of the size of PNG, but it established a good track record of solutions which can work. We have results. So now the matter is, how do we go about scaling it all up? And this is what AgriConnect really is all about. Plus, so I mentioned private and public sector. I would like to continue to emphasize that all of that will have to be glued together with the knowledge. Knowledge is an important part of what we do. And so that becomes even more important as we try to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the spending programs, what we are about to enact. So in the context of PNG, Yes, we talk about AgriConnect. I'm talking about AgriConnect, but it's not about really AgriConnect. It's about helping government, supporting government about implementation of their own NASP. So 1 million jobs, 30 billion China exports. So these are ambitious targets which would require the scale. And this is what we are here to think. And here, my colleague from IFC, Sam, just walked in. This is what we are doing together as a work bank group. First time we are working together and, you know, coordinating among ourselves on what we do on the sovereign side and what we do on the non-sovereign side, but also what we do with other donors who have similar approaches and programs. So three pillars of NASP. Again, no, I mean, nothing new. Infra package, obviously enabling environment and access to the finance are all important parts of AgriConnect. AgriConnect has actually a number of ways one can structure. In the countries like PNG, which has such a well-established track record of delivering of the results through the value chains, we took value chain approach. So we have selected 3 value chains plus a couple of more. So coffee, cocoa, which have a well-established track record, horticulture, and some couple of new ones. And we then work through on, you know, I mean, how do we go about delivering these 1 million jobs, what was mentioned. But you can see, I'm not going to go through this slide, but the point here is that you can see that some examples on how we are starting to envision. We are still at a very early stage, but these are the kind of solutions what we are starting to envision along these 6 scalable solution areas. But the point, I want to come back to the point what I have been making in my opening statement and earlier is that we can't do it alone. Yeah? Even within the World Bank group, as we are now joining our efforts between IBRD, IDA, IFC, and MIGA, that's not enough. And so in case of PNG, you know, we are teaming up with AIB, we are teaming up with IFAD, who IFAD has been now formally signed up on AgriConnect. AIB has not, but they are part of it, even if they're not. And then ADB obviously is going to be part of this. I mean, you can see there are various areas where various players can come in, both on the financing side, knowledge again, and that knowledge list is, in my opinion, will have to expand. These are just internal to our organizations, knowledge solutions providers, but there are plenty of them outside, and there are some of you sitting in this room. We would like to collaborate under AgriConnect, and then of course the private sector side. So let me stop here, and you know, I'm gonna pass it over.
Yeah, thank you, Pavel. And next, I would like to call on my colleague Monica. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Monica Petri. So I am the team leader for this ADB project that want to be part of AgriConnect. Specifically, it's called Fresh Food Marketing System Project. And the first thing I would like, before we go to the presentation, to try to explain that. So we have done a long study and we have co-developed this approach that I'm going to present. And as you will see, we have embraced complexity because this is food systems transformation. So together with the Department of Agriculture and Livestock, which is also here today, but also together with the Fresh Produce Development Agency. So we have a focus on infrastructure and post-harvest management and market, and I will try to describe the project. But also I want to say that there is a point that as an agronomist and as a farmer family myself, struck me when I arrived in PNG the first time, especially the area of Goroka. So land is abandoned. It's not used. And this is, I mean, you can see that there were fields at some point, but now no. And why? So the reason is that farmers do not, I mean, I'm the daughter of a farmer. Farmers do not crop if they don't have a market. They crop what they need to eat, and that's it. So in order to bring a solution to that, we thought that we should take an entire market system approach. And this is where collaboration is fundamental, of course, because of course, we are working only on the supply chain of fresh produce. Okay, next, no, here. So first of all, the starting point, of course, and this is what Paavo also said, is the transformation of the logistic and connectivity. So Mr. Brown already said the geography of PNG is the problem in a way. So we are developing road to connect the areas that are after this mountain to the capital, but that will take time. So we have taken a phase approach in which we will start with the area with most production, and we will connect it to the area with most consumption. So from here to here. But this is just a small phase because there are much more areas with production here, but there is also much more consumption and production everywhere else. So, okay, so basically prioritizing production, prioritizing also consumption. And so why do I call this food system transformation approach? What does it mean, right? So this means, so the idea is that we should connect everything from the seed to the plate. It's much beyond just the transport. We mean the entire chain. So there is a production, there is a transport, there is a consumption. If we look on this left side, farmers, first of all, need to have improved seeds and climate smart varieties. At the moment, farmers are only using either community seeds or they're using seeds that are not agro-environmentally suitable. Plus, we need to have regenerative crop production trainings, especially for protecting the soils. And then we need small equipment that are necessary for improved productivity. And of course, technical assistance is necessary in the moment in which we want to improve the capacities of these farmers, especially in the aspect of marketing, and also we have to work on seed system marketing, which we have a presentation later on. And finally, farmers need to be able to handle and clean and sort the produce before the produce goes to the market. And this is where there is a presentation on that, because in PNG, the problem is that the produce exit the farm already unsafe, not safe. In the middle, we would see the core of the project, which is everything that relate that after harvest, we must handle properly, sort, store, and transport within the supply chain. There is a next slide after this, so I will not go in detail. And ultimately, in the right side, we also have another grant that work with consumers. So in PNG, the problem now is that fresh produce is so expensive that people do not buy and do not eat. So I was very surprised sometime in some meetings, there is rice, potatoes, and a cake. There is no meat, there is no vegetable. Okay, this is the lunch or the dinner, right? So there is a problem there. So we need to kind of recreate the interest for eating vegetable. This is a very specific problem of PNG, in my opinion. So the activities will include promoting urban and near-urban initiative, some community garden, building some small marketplace for fresh produce near hospitals, near schools, but also having nutrition campaign, telling to people eat vegetable is good. And then ultimately, maybe in a second phase, we can reach also having GAP practices. So the next point that is important is how do we blend public and private investments. So I will not go in detail, but basically there will be aggregation points in the districts and then medium-sized distribution centers at the provincial level with different chambers for different type of product, including commodities from World Bank project. And then there will be shipment to the large distribution point. So what is important to say is that first, so the private sector will use the budget from the government to design, build, operate, and maintain those infrastructure. And this is not something that we have bring to the government. The government has come to us asking that. And this is fantastic. I mean, we have been really jumping on that because it is a solution that is proven to function. And this is, I think, also where the connection with AgriConnect is important also for the digital part. So there will be a system to basically control the fleet movements. So we are not talking about traceability of food because let's be honest, I mean, doing traceability of the single salad in PNG is a little bit too early, but we will trace the fleet, they move the product. This should simplify, especially against weather alerts or weather problem or cyclone, the movement of the fleet. And of course, that it's so last slide. Yes. So another important part is the on lending. So we will produce give grants to the farmers and also concessional lending to the small medium infrastructure and also to the facilities. And finally, how do we want to collaborate with World Bank? Last slide. So, of course, alignment of infrastructure digital system, I already say, but also alignment in the policy because we need to have only one sanitary standard in place based on international practice, so it can be used for export also in the future. Also have only one digital platform, weather integrated, and also have opportunity for the private sector engagement, of course. And then we have decided to collaborate in a agricultural donor forum and to have technical exchanges. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Monica. Okay, and next I'd like to invite Steph Montgomery, Program Manager, International Development, New Zealand Bioeconomy Science Institute, to talk about post-harvest issues and international sanitary standards. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you, Lance. And thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you here this morning. I will preface this by saying I'm presenting on behalf of my colleagues this morning who conducted this study and the design scoping in PNG as an ADB consultancy. My background is actually, I'll confess, I'm an agronomist like Monica. So I'm going to talk to you about post-harvest and SVS issues that my colleagues identified. And of course, I'm going to my mind links it back to the production and the agronomy side of things. But as we know, the chain is all linked together. And perhaps there is a presentation somewhere coming. So yes, to talk to you about the post-harvest and food safety issues in PNG. I do provide some program management assistance from remotely for this project. My role is the program manager in our International Development Unit, which these scientists are a part of. So just to show you the team in country, my BSI colleagues there, along with Monica and the rest of the consultancy team, who were delighted to be in the field, and it looked like an amazing trip. So I'll try to do justice to their findings today. If we start on the post-harvest side of things, from Gwen Ortiz, who led the mission, who is our post-harvest scientist, actually Filipino, based in our New Zealand Institute in Auckland for the last 9 or so years. Post-harvest loss is silently cutting into farmer incomes across Papua New Guinea. So it really is an issue also from the production side of things going right through. And I think if we think back to one of Pavo's fun fact slides at the beginning of his presentation, I saw there up to 50% post-harvest losses from field to consumer. And as an agronomist and as farmers, it's like, you create the most beautiful products. Why are you creating them if they don't look so beautiful at the other end and the consumer doesn't get to enjoy that? So I think this project, if that's at the core of it, then that's a really good mission to have. Let's get beautiful product that starts beautiful in the highlands. Let's get it to the main consumers at the end, still beautiful. So this is the main challenge in this post-harvest space, is the high post-harvest losses. There's inadequate handling, storage, the transport from farm to market. We know the geography is difficult in PNG, so difficult. So it's amazing what has been achieved, but I think it's so exciting what this project and others working in the region can achieve. And I can't wait to see in 5 to 10 years' time what these market linkages looks like and access. So particularly from that highlands area into Lae and Port Moresby, it often takes 5 to 10 days, to get to that end point. So you can imagine when you've got a really fresh, juicy product, what it is looking like at the moment at the other end, with a lack of cool chain and a lack of access and infrastructure to go with that. So just showing you here pictorially, of course, that beautiful produce that everybody would want to eat in the highlands, and then what it does look like, and even worse when it is actually at the consumer end, and expensive, as Monica said. So you're paying a high price for a product that's lost a lot of its nutrition and edibility and attractiveness. So this is one of the main issues that our team was finding along the way. So what can we do to reduce post-harvest losses? This is a big project. You've already heard some of it described already. So just throwing a few ideas around about what the team from the design has had a look at. Of course, post-harvest training and support to farmers and value chain stakeholders. Looking at the research implications and research elements for improved methods of the produce handling, from packaging and improved shelf life and storage and other elements within that space. Of course, the market access and logistics partnerships, linking those farmers to wholesalers and aggregators. And Monica showed you some nice pictorials there of some of the initial plans. And at the moment, the value addition and food preservation technologies is not really a thing. So I think understanding and awareness around food preservation and what you can do for a start is a really nice place to start as well, and getting some techniques in to really preserve what you have. And also, obviously, when you value add, your food becomes safer or longer shelf life as well. So this is not a very good map, but an important map. So for those of you familiar with PNG, you will know what I'm talking about when you see this. Monica showed you beautifully pictorially what the plan is for these aggregation hubs and distribution models. So it is a hub and spoke model. So if you just take the map at a glance, you can see the red dots are the initial aggregation points. So where the farmer's going to bring their produce to. There's 15 of them, I believe. And then from there, they will go out to the blue dots, which are those medium-sized distribution hubs. And then from there, they go on to the yellow, which is obviously Lae and Port Moresby, for the final end point for produce that's going that far. So this is the crux of the distribution model. And there will be cool chain infrastructure coming into there and marketing, but looking at what low-cost alternatives are there, from solar power, evaporative cooling, and what can we do when power is an issue. So looking at those options for solar and other things that can keep that produce cool and consistent in terms of its storability, and things that are workable for smallholder farmer groups. So just moving on to the food safety issues. Our Dr. Shravani is our fabulous food safety scientist who has nightmares after she visits things. Her background is in horticulture and seafood technology. So Shravani loves to say, if it's not safe, it's not food. And I think that's really at the core of food values, is to value food. So yes, we might be having food to eat, but if it's not safe, then what is happening to us? And she found that very much so in PNG, that people are really thankful to have food to eat. And as Monica said, the diversity of diet is not always there. So you're eating the food, but actually, if it's not safe, you might be being sick and ending up in other dietary issues, malnutrition and things like that. So really working on that food safety, the SPS side of things will be really quite critical. Shravani found that food safety currently doesn't have a strong meaning in PNG because it's not been on the radar. So practices are lacking in part because people are not familiar with food safety practices, but not familiar with the why. And I think that's where that knowledge and technical transfer can come in, and it's critical. You can see the beautiful pineapple there. It's been cut up splendidly and it looks so delicious, but it's then left in the open wet market for flies, bacteria, rain splash, dirt, other things to contaminate it with, which is such a shame. So I think there's some easy wins that we can have along the way by raising awareness and looking at public campaigns to raise awareness. That is an area in food safety can have a significant impact. It doesn't work for everything, but for food safety, it is actually a low-hanging fruit and it can work very well. PNG has no regulation currently around food safety, I believe. There's no existing national standards for the hygiene and sanitation for any parts of the fresh food supply chain. So I think that's a really good place to start, and I'm sure these projects will be addressing that. So there's nothing to enforce currently. You can sell whatever you want, and the domestic market is the dominant market. So for most of these fresh fruits and foods, then export is not there, so that compliance level is not there from external sources. So some of the large companies, of course, to preface that, have self-regulation and implementation going on. Wrap up? Yep. So ideas will be targeting public food safety, which I've already talked about, and obviously upskilling our researchers there. And to end, this is outside of the scope, but there's a lot of market food waste happening, and the team did not see any composting or livestock feeding or other sources. So there's also other elements, I think, that the project could look to delve into. Thank you, Lance.
Thanks, Steph. Sorry for the rush, but we're feeling all a little bit food insecure at the moment. It's lunch pending. I'd also like to invite Stefania Grando, ADB consultant and former ICRISAT Director, Quality and Strategy, who is joining us online. And Stefania, sorry to put the time pressure on you, but if we can keep to 5 minutes, please. Thank you.
Good morning. Well, thank you very much for inviting me to present some ideas about food. Now, if we can go, if you want, I can share my screen, or if someone can move the slide, would be great.
Can we? I have a little thing here. Maybe that might help. There we go. You just tell me when to move the slide.
So, okay. So then, moving, as Monica already said, I mean, seed is actually the starting point of agriculture production that is has been already now for a number of years affected by a series of global problems. If you can go to the next, please. And all those global programs, if we think in terms of agriculture production, can be all related to seed. Next, please. Now, in terms, I will concentrate mainly on the relationship between seed and climate change, and seed and biodiversity. Now, we need better crops that are better adapted to climate as it changes. And if we import, as is the case for the majority of the formal seed sector in PNG, if we import seed, these actually cannot be adapted to the different agro environments of the country. And also in terms of, if we talk in terms of plant breeding, climate change is a not well-defined objective, and probably will be a different objective in different places. And this is even more so in PNG. Next. Next, please. Now, in terms of biodiversity, of course, seed relates to biodiversity and to agrobiodiversity in particular. At farm level, agrobiodiversity can be utilized in different forms, could be in forms of different crops, different variety within the same crop, or as is the case in most of the small holder farmers, in the case of mixed cropping. Next, please. And at this point, I would like to point out that if we talk about seed sovereignty, is actually very much related to food sovereignty. So we cannot be food security unless we have seed security for our crops. Next. Next, please.
Trying.
So sorry. So if we talk about seed, then we need to see how seed system works. And for this, we are using some tools that are seed system assessment. So we need to, and with the seed system assessment, we try to understand how a seed system works. We identify limitation to improve the seed system and to identify specific intervention. And as a follow-up of the seed system assessment, we also have to build a monitoring and evaluating system for to look at those interventions as they are proposed. Next, please. When we look at seed system, we can say that functional seed system have to make sure that there is availability of seed. In other words, farmers have to find seed at their proximity and at the right time. Seed has to be accessible, affordable, and farmers should be aware of those seed. In other words, farmers have to have money to buy that seed, and they have to know that specific varieties are on the market. In addition, seed has to be of good quality, and the quality can be considered in two different aspects. One is that we need to have desirable varieties, desirable for farmers, for consumers, for the market, depending on what are the requirements. But seed has to also to be healthy, of genetic purity, and of good physiological and physical quality. Next, please. Now, we conducted a rapid seed system assessment, PNG, and we look at different stakeholders that are listed here. And the majority of stakeholders were farmers. Next. We actually look at 365 farmers. Of course, it's a small portion of the high amount of farmers we can find in PNG. But this was a very rapid and quick look at how we can look at, you can see and assess the seed system. Considering that actually looking at in the history, there is no major seed system assessment conducted in PNG. Of those farmers, we have 167 female and almost 200 males. This was conducted in 14 districts in 5 provinces. Next.
Sorry, Stefani, can we wrap up?
Now, the formal, we can look at seed system and looking at the formal sector and informal seed sector. The formal sector in PNG is actually is mainly done by seed that is produced and distributed either through import from overseas seed company or through agricultural research or extension agency. Mainly FPDA and NARI are contributing at this. And usually farmers perceive this seed as a good quality, and the main sources are imported vegetable seeds that are sold in agriculture shops, and or as planting material through in vitro crop propagation and multiplication program, as I said before, by FPDA and NARI. Next.
Stefania, do you mind wrapping up? Next slide.
Yes, sir.
Sorry
Yes,
to rush
if
you.
you can. Sorry, just a few words about the informal sector. 80% of the rural population source their seeds and planting material, and main sources are different, mainly farmer-to-farmer exchange and local seed producer. And if I can go to the the main challenges that as farmers are saying is poor accessibility, poor affordability, and poor availability. And there is a lack of knowledge by farmers on production of good quality seed and storing practices. And I will conclude. So to enhance a seed system is proposed to promote and support seed system managed by farmers. And in this regard, the European Union is just moving into reform our seed marketing. We propose to improve and strengthen the informal seed system to make available quality seed to farmers, build the capacity of farmers on seed production, conservation, and marketing, establishing farmer seed banks and nurseries at village level for farmers to access seed as needs arise, and to build on partnership between farmers, research institutions, and private sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stefania. Apologies again for the rush.
No, that's fine. No worry.
Thank you. Okay, so next would like to invite Jaime Valila. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Maybe you can introduce your proper name. Who is the Director, Logistics and Operations at EDOM Spain. You'll talk about lessons learned on agribusiness and strengthening logistics. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, that's a Catalan name. It's not easy to pronounce. It's not your fault. Okay, it's the same than James, but as James, I'm not translating because then sounds the secret agent, no, James. Okay, anyway, many thanks to ADB for have the chance to present that. Okay, for have the chance to expose this initiative. Okay. This is about logistics, okay? I will try to be very fast, okay, in order to just provide this slide snapshot about what it is. And I will try to be many presentations in order to be quite agile slide. I will have a short video in the beginning, okay? And I would like to reinforce the relevance of the logistics in the food chain, no? Because we feel that it's completely a key factor, okay? And we know that recently, last year, it has been announced that the urea has been raised 30% up, and it's going to be raising up. Fertilizers will be raising the cost, and then we need to strengthen and do the best on the logistics, because otherwise it will be a real issue on the food chain, okay, and on the prices. Here, coming on deep, I will show this first video. This is about the project that it has been done in the Philippines Food Chain Logistic Master Plan. We have been working by the last year, more than a year and a half, mapping all the food chain in the Philippines, okay? Related and defining what is the plan for improve the logistics practices, okay? In all the aspects, not only on the infrastructures, only on the operational, also on the, let's say, primary sector and in end-to-end logistics. We have been moving in Philippines from the north, in Luzon, in Mid-Luzon, in Visayas, in Mindanao, North Mindanao, South Mindanao, and talking with the farming, talking with the visiting ports facilities, okay, in order to bring a roadmap of the initiative that it suggested to be implemented. Okay, and this is something that it's also applicable not only in the Philippines, in most of the countries where it's farming countries and it's necessary a support to the primary sector. Okay, then it's a lesson for Philippines, but it's also extensible to other geographies. Okay, let's move to the video.
Behold the Philippines, a paradise adorned with nature's bounty, where sun-kissed beaches and majestic landscapes bewitch the senses. Yet, the same reason that makes its beaches beautiful, makes its logistics complex, creating a real challenge for its food logistics landscape. Urban centers and wet markets pulsate with vitality, where traditions are kept alive, forging a connection between farmers, vendors, and consumers. However, beneath this energy lies a sobering reality, an unorganized maze filled with logistical challenges. Throughout the food supply chain, from farm to customers, numerous challenges arise, hindering our ability to deliver fresh, high-quality produce to those who need it. All the way from small, marginalized farmers, ill-equipped ports, poor handling practices, to the lack of cold chain for goods that need it the most. Change is not only necessary, it is imperative. Recognizing the urgency to address these shortcomings, the Department of Agriculture initiated a study to create a visionary masterplan financed by the Asian Development Bank and the Spanish Cooperation Fund, the Philippines Food Chain Logistics Masterplan 2023 to 2033. Aligned with the Philippine Development Plan, this masterplan serves as a transformative blueprint that provides 10 strategic recommendations area to bring about transformative change in food chain logistics towards achieving food security for all. These recommendations cover a wide range of issues across the food logistics value chain in an integrated manner from input supply, production, last-mile delivery to end consumers. Acting over the initial node, Recommendation 1 seeks to cluster FCAs to achieve economy of scale and support small farmers. A transformative approach to allow farmers to benefit from collective strength. Recommendation 2 envisions upgraded basic processing units that are equipped with advanced facilities through an optimized layout and enhanced storage capacity. These units will be established all over the country. Through Recommendation 3, slaughterhouses and dressing plants are strategically located, vertically integrated, and blended into the very fabric of our agricultural landscapes, which allows lower transportation costs and enhanced traceability. With the 4th recommendation, a revolutionary cold chain system is established, from farm to fork, meticulously designed to ensure the seamless journey of perishable goods, preserving the freshness and impeccable quality of our food products. As per the Farm to Market Road, the 5th recommendation cattle to the need of planning, funding, and implementation of ongoing FMR project, and link them with the strategic plans of food connectivity. Imagine strategic ports that serve as gateways for the efficient movement of food cargo, equipped with state-of-the-art facilities and optimized logistics operations. This is the transformative goal of Recommendation 6. It allows minimized transportation costs and a strengthened position in global trade. And with a network of short-sea shipping services seamlessly connecting our islands and facilitating the smooth movement of cargo, this transformative vision lies at the core of Recommendation 7. It enables integrated intermodal transportation. In Recommendation 8, the wholesale is utterly transformed to an organized sector with food hubs based on the concept of food hubs established nearby big cities, working 24 hours to secure food stream all over the country. All of this with a thriving investment landscape, with foreign and private investments flowing into our food chain logistics system through the transformative potential of Recommendation 9. And a robust regulatory framework, acting as a shield to protect public health and ensure food safety across our supply chain through the last 10th recommendation. This master plan is not just a vision. Its recommendations are benchmarked with best-in-class references such as Coring Cooperative, Mercabarna, and Rungi's Food City. It is a call to action for all stakeholders to unite and create a brighter future. The implementation of these recommendations will require a concerted effort from multi-stakeholders to create a more sustainable and resilient food supply chain that benefits all Filipinos. The Philippines Food Chain Logistics Masterplan, unprecedented operational excellence to the way we nourish our nation.
Well, it's a draft summary, okay, about this idea and the master plan and the main actions driven by this master plan, okay? And I'm not gonna go in deep because we're right on time, but this is some of the challenges that we're facing when we're looking at the logistics value chain. We have struggles in a regulation framework, okay? Because sometimes, and we can find misalignment between the local and national administrations, okay? Also, elements of misuse of the loans, and here it's a fact, it's a huge disaggregation of the production. Production is very atomized, and this is one of the main struggles, main bottlenecks, okay? We find elements on the pre-harvest, on the post-harvest, also on the transportation in terms of infrastructures, inefficient and inter-islands movements are not well implemented, okay? In the cold chain support facilities, also we can find that in the main logistic gateways, it's not providing cold chain facilities, and also the element facilitating the integration on the PPP, okay? The private sector wants to invest on cold chain facilities. They are open to invest for the cold chain facilities, but needs to be the alignment between the public entities and the private in order to facilitate this investment. Here, some of the elements crafting the future and needs to be overcome. No, these atomized productions, we need to move to economies of scale, okay? And the way to do that is by means of the cooperative systems, okay? We need to be thinking on organized food distribution, okay? Connecting research and train the workforce. Most of the times the farming okay, very fast then. These main ideas and interesting mission about that is that if we compare the markets and the situation of the markets in 50 years ago in Europe, in any other geographies, in Spain, for example, here we can find a picture of a wholesale market in Spain on 71, and it's similar to what we can find today in Philippines, okay? We did same projects in Brazil, in Colombia, in Mexico, and the pictures are quite similar than that, no? And this way up needs to be run, okay? This transformation that it has been done in 50 years, it has to be done here in 10 years, in 7 years. It needs to be done faster because we know how to do that, and that's the experience that it's already done. Here we can compare the handling products, the inadequate packaging, the product is sweating here inside. Okay, that's a real issue. Here, the practice was handling fresh fish. In Spain,
Okay, so stay. Okay. So now a very brief moderated discussion. I'm very happy to be able to hand over moderation to my friend Samuel to come up here, and he can introduce the guests who you've already heard from. And we are already at time, so maybe just 10 minutes. What do you think, Sam?
So, quickly, so first of all, from the IFC side, we really like to engage with PNG. We've identified them as the first mover country because of the whole commitment they have towards the agribusiness sector. And through AgriConnect, there are basically 3 elements that we really want to focus on: improving productivity, improving digital connectivity, as well as physical connectivity, as well as we are also looking at working together with them to create jobs. We know that agriculture creates a lot of jobs. I think in terms of the partnership with yourselves, there are 3 main areas that I think we should focus on. most of them were already mentioned by you. For me, the first important one is access to roads, access to rural roads, and access to improved logistics, agri-logistics. So that would be the first one. We want to make sure that this product can quickly get to the consumers, it can get to the export markets. The second one is standards and certifications. We talk about standards, certifications, whether it's food safety standards. If you are going to export, it also means meeting all the export standards. So I would say that is the second area that we should focus on. And then the third and the final one is just making sure that we can work together to ensure that there is enough financing that is available. We want to finance the supply chains and so on and so forth. We want to make sure that we can put in the right financial products for us to be able to support all the stakeholders, all the participants in the various supply chain. Thank you.
Thank you. Are we going to do a moderated panel discussion, or Monica? What do you think? Are we hungry, or are we hungry for food, or hungry for wisdom? Are we silent? Okay. So shall I make an executive decision as the chief moderator? So, yeah. Oh, I think that's been having lunch, no? So maybe I can invite my colleague Aliyah to come up and say the closing remarks. She was also earlier supposed to be framing the objectives, but she could mention those in her closing remarks too. Thank you, Aliyah.
Thank you, Lance. And again, good afternoon, everyone. So happy to see the colleagues from PNG. Okay, so I think that was quite interesting session today. So at the start of the session, we framed 3 key objectives. First, ensuring that efficient investments, different investments coming from the private sector, from the multilateral institutions, from the government, they reinforce each other. Second objective was the strengthening operational complementarities between the MDBs, and third one, placing the private sector in the center of long-term sustainability. So today's dialogue has given, to some extent, depth and practical meaning to each of these goals, particularly the Director Kanabes and the welcoming speech by the Secretary Bank, which was conveyed to us today. They set the tone with a strong vision from the government of PNG, that one that calls not only for improved production, but also for modern markets, better connectivity, and a more structured approach to linking rural communities with domestic and regional players. There was also emphasis on the coordination institutions building resonated throughout this session. So from the World Bank, from Papua, we also learned that the more details about the AgriConnect project, so which showed to us that how digital platforms, data and coordination mechanism can help PNG unify its currently fragmented commodities market. So you have explained us of how digital tools can guide procurement, logistics, and price transparency, illustrated exactly why infrastructure and information systems must advance together. We also heard from the private sector, who drew on international experience to underline that logistics transformation requires disciplined operations, strong maintenance, and governance models that bring accountability. So I think that's really can be used in the context of PNG. So although we skipped the panel discussion, but I think we will have another opportunity to learn about this. So taken together, Today's contribution, I think, gave us more clearly picture of how each element, digital tools, infrastructure, SPS systems, climate resilient inputs, logistics operations, and institutional capacity must reinforce the others. PNG has the potential to become, and I'm sure it will become, a demonstration case for the Pacific and perhaps also for the South, for the Asia as a whole, as a demonstration case of how all the multilaterals should work together and with the leadership of the government. So once again, thank you so much for your commitment and insights. And I think we look forward to continuing our discussions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alia. Thank you so much for joining. Let's go and enjoy some lunch and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.